Okay, graphing inequalities. Okay, so this is what you need to know. From grade 10, you learned this. Y equals mx plus b. And you used it to graph what kind of shape? A line. And in that formula, the m represented slope, which is considered the what over what? Rise over run. And the b is the y-intercept, which would be the point 0, comma, whatever. That's what a y-intercept is. Okay, so this is inequality. Do you know what all your inequality signs are? That. Less than. What if I did that to your symbol?
Less than or equal to.
Less than or equal to. Okay, and then you could go the other way. So you have those ones as well. So those are your 4 signs. So this is greater. And this is greater or equal to. Okay. So when I draw a line, last year you obviously just drew lines. This inequality, we're going to draw either a dashed line or a solid line. These are your options. You can draw a dashed line or a solid line. And when would I use which? So the dashed line means you can't be on it, and the solid line means you could be on it. So how would I know out of these 4 symbols which ones I can't be on and which ones I could be on? Solid are the ones that are or equal. Okay, so a less than symbol or a greater than symbol, you're going to be dashed. And as soon as it says you could be equal to the line, you're going to include the line and then you're going to solid it in.
Wait, so solid is when you're
Equal to it. Yeah.
And then the dash is when
You're not allowed to be on it yet. You're not allowed to be on it. So you're either just less than it or greater than it, but not on it. Okay, ready.
Still do the solid line if it's not equal to? No? Okay.
No. Okay. First equation here, I'm going to start with the y-intercept 5. So put a coordinate 0, 5. And what is the slope? What is, how many x's do you have?
5.
1. You have 1 x. So how do you create a fraction of 1? 1 over 1. So you need to go up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. You can do it once, you could do it a few times. But it's going to create a line. But before I draw this line, is it dashed or solid? Dashed. So that's what it's going to look like. Dashed. Okay, now the symbol says less than. So you have two options to be less than. So I'm going to give you either, you want to be on either this side of the line or this side of the line. Which color, pink or green, is less than because it's angling downward?
Green?
The green. The green is angling less. So just think angles, angling down. I'm going to draw little arrow directions like this. I want to be below that line like that. Bless you. Okay. Now we're ready for line 2. Y-intercept is 1. The slope is -2, but when we talk about slope, it has to have a rise and a run. So how do I write that as a fraction?
1.
-2 over 1. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go down to right 1. Down to right 1. And what kind of line should I draw on this one? A dashed or a solid?
Solid.
Solid, because it says I'm allowed to be equal to it. Okay. Now I'm going to give you two options. You're going to be either on the pink or the green side of this line. And you want to be on the direction that's greater than, so somewhere along the line you have to be angling upward.
Pink.
Pink. So you want to be on that side. So I'm going to just draw some direction arrows. Now, do you see a space that will work for both of them? You're going to shade in a place that is less than that, but greater than that.
Well, that area.
So these are the solutions. There's endless amount of solutions.
Oh, you can go on the bottom.
Go anywhere. It would keep going on forever, right? In that kind of, it's almost like a triangle shape. It's a triangle shape that would go on forever. Okay. Can you give me an example, because there's endless solutions. Can you give me one coordinate that is a solution to this problem? 6, 1, because it's in the shaded zone. It should work. So when you plug that coordinate in to both inequalities, they should be true. Okay, ready? I'm going to plug this in. So y1 is less than 6 plus 5. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yep. Is 1 greater or equal to, when I plug 6 in there, I would get -12 plus 1. Is that a true inequality statement? Would 1 be greater than that value?
Yeah.
Yep. Can you give me a coordinate that would not be a solution to this? What's that? -1, -1, is that what you said? -1, -1 is not a solution. So I'm going to plug it in. Is -1 less than -1 plus 5? Yes, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
-1 is less than 4, right? Is -1 greater or equal to 2 plus 1? Is that true? No. That's why it's not a solution. It has to be true for everything. Okay? Yeah. And do you see these arrows? This coordinate would have worked for this line, but not that line. Okay? If you were in this zone, you would have one statement that would have been true and one that was false. If you picked a coordinate in this zone, they would both be false. Does that make sense? Because look at my arrows. I don't have any arrows ever over into this zone. Yeah, but in this quadrant, there's these arrows. One of them is true, but one of them's not. So they both have to be true. They both have to be true. Okay. Okay, line number 1. Let's just actually go here. Let's write dashed or solid. Which one? Dashed or solid? First one. Solid. What do you think about the second one? Dashed. And then solid. Okay. How in the world do you graph X, but there's no Y in this? I don't know.
It's just one thing.
There's just one thing. So
It's on the line then. On the x-intercept. Y-intercept.
I want you to do this for me. I want you to draw me a point, any point, that has an X value of -5. Do that. Any point. Give me any point. Draw a point anywhere with an X value of -5. Okay, so that's what I did. You might have said something different. Okay, here's what I want you to do next. Draw me a second point somewhere that has an X value of -5. So a second point, obviously not the same as the one you picked. Okay, what kind of line is it going to make?
Parallel.
Straight up and down, a vertical line, and it's solid. So do you remember that? Do you remember that from grade 10? Does this help if you just say just draw 2 points where the values are at?
It's just confusing.
Okay, so this is probably what you learned in grade 10. X equals lines are up and down, and Y equals lines with no X's are horizontal, right? That's probably what you learned in grade 10.
I would always just do it and then hope that I got it right.
Okay, I got my colors. Green or pink? I need to be, what's the inequality here? Greater than that line. I need to, green is on the greater, so I'm just going to give myself a little note here. When I'm done, I need to make sure I'm on that side.
How do you figure that out? Like, why do you put up and down?
How did I figure which out?
Like, why did you point them up and down?
Like, why did I put my little tiny arrows going that way?
Yeah.
Greater than. So which kind of X values are going in the direction of greater? Where are your X values getting bigger? On this side or on this side? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's getting bigger and bigger. Okay. Number 2, I'm going to write it down here because we got some work to do. Okay. You learned some little formulas in grade 10. I'm going to avoid them. They are on your formula sheet, but I don't ever want to use them.
Okay. Okay.
We're just going to go, we can do this with algebra. Okay, ready? 3y greater than. I want you to move the x and move the number because I'm trying to line it up. Y equals mx plus b. What happens to the x on the other side now? Positive 2x. What happens to the number?
9.
Plus 9. Okay? So there's step 1, algebra. Move the x stuff, move the y or the number stuff. Now, what do I have to do? I'm trying to get y, m, and b, like that. Divide by 3. Can you do this for me and do it all separate? Everything gets divided by 3. So y is greater than 2/3 x plus 3. Does that look doable now? Y alone. You got your m slope, and then you got your b. So 0, 3, give me a point. That's your y-intercept. Can we go a slope move of what and what? What do you want to do? 2, which direction?
2 up.
Up, rise. So 2 up, 3 right. 2 up, 3 right. There's another point. And we talked about this already. We said we were going to draw a dashed line through those. There's my dashed. Okay. Now I'm going to give you 2 color choices here. Which side is angling upward? Because I need to be greater than. Green is angling upward. So greater than is going this way. Okay. And the last line. Ready? I'm going to do negative 2y. It's not moving. So just leave it there. Less than or equal to. How many x's moved? 4x. How many numbers? Because I have to move it. Subtract 6. Okay, on my way to get y alone, I now will divide by negative 2. And something crazy is going to happen. So I'm going to put a star here. There's going to be something that happens. This is a math rule. If you divide by negative, or times by negative, but we probably won't run into that. If you ever in math divide or times by a negative, it flips the sign direction. Okay, this is just something you're going to have to remember. The sign is going to change directions because of that.
The big sign? This is big.
Your inequality sign. Okay, so put a star there for yourself so that when you study for your test, you have that somewhere fresh. Okay, now this is still just math. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2.
Is it only by dividing? Would you also change by multiplying?
Yeah, but you probably won't run into a multiply because usually to get y alone, we're usually dividing. But you won't run into that, but it is a rule. Yeah. And what's this number here?
3.
Plus 3. Are you okay if I throw this over 1? Because I need a rise number and a run number for myself. Okay, so the y-intercept, look at that. That's the same y-intercept. And I'm going to go down to right 1. down 2, right 1. And then we said we should do a solid line. Okay, this inequality now says greater than side. So here on this line, which color is angling upward?
Green.
Green would angle upward. So I'm going to do some arrows like that. So I need a space that is going to work for all of them. So that would be in this zone.
All the way up. Well, I kind of did mine on the other graph.
Do you see this line? You better probably have that line extended a little bit because it stops like that, right?
Mine's just not going to stop.
There's a wall. There's a wall right there.
Push the pencil out a little further.
Okay. Name me a random point that would work for all three.
2, 7.
2, 7 works for all three. Okay. Anything in this shaded region, when you would plug it in, would be, yep, it works, yep, it works, yep, it works.
Are you supposed to check it every time?
Nope, but if you do, you know you're right.
I'm going to draw my next little line.
Okay, I think I'm going to teach again.